I'm asking the question today, is it normal to fall out of love? And is it possible for one to fall out of love and fall back into love again? The answer to that is yes, indeed, it can happen. Falling out of love with a person doesn't mean that the opposite doesn't like or doesn't love you anymore, which meaning it doesn't mean that the man or the woman doesn't love you anymore, or that he or she is not attracted to you anymore, or that she has feelings for somebody else. One of the things that we need to understand is that we are human beings, and we can fall in and out of love as we please. And you may be looking at me like, as you please? Yes, as you please. You're in control of yourself. So if you want to fall in love, you can fall in love. If you want to fall out, you can fall out. But it's very important when you're doing so that you communicate with the person with whom you're in that relationship with. As long as the love between both parties are strong and they both understand the true meaning of love, they can fall back in love again. And maybe this time even stronger than it was before. We have to realize that love is a cycle which runs with the tide. So one day it might be smooth, it might be rough, and it can be calm. One will need to stay focused and don't just jump ship as this period comes along. I'm sure you are aware or you're familiar with the phrase that says, I love him, I love her, but I'm just not in love. Note that falling out of love doesn't necessarily mean it is over between you and that person. This is the time when both parties need to get a grip of themselves. Start learning about themselves. Start adopting a plan where you start maintaining and sustaining a long-term relationship that entails love. You are listening to the beautiful saxophone music when a man loves a woman, fitting for this topic today. Yeah. So when we are thinking about focusing on maintaining and sustaining a loving relationship, there are a few things that we need to bear in mind. We need to acknowledge that love is what you give and that you are responsible for your feelings and the joy and support you bring to that relationship. And whereby that person need to feel love and affection coming from you. We need to be able to show gratitude in the relationship while we are building, while we are focusing on the maintenance and sustaining the love between the two parties. We need to acknowledge the things that this person is doing for us in our lives, the happiness that this person is bringing in. We need to be able to say, you know what? I know that every day cannot be the same, but he is trying to do this and he makes me feel ever so happy. She makes me feel ever so happy. She goes out of her way to ensure that our relationship is meaningful. She is spontaneous. She adds value. She adds life to the relationship. So it's important to acknowledge. It's important for you to let the other party know that you are appreciative of the things that he or she is doing to maintain that relationship in your lives. Sometimes during this period of falling out of love, it's time for you to look at your life, your past history where relationship is concerned. There's a psychologist which use the term name your walls, which mean we all have been through relationship where we hurt, past relationship or even present relationship, where we felt ashamed, rejected, abandoned, or perhaps judged. So we are aware of the risks we are taking to open ourselves to a new relationship or a relationship again. But if we don't take risks, how should we know? Or how will we be able to develop and sustain a long relationship with somebody? How will we be able to identify real love? We would not be able to do that, would we? We need to be able during this time of falling out where we have that period for ourselves, we need to identify the why in those walls. Why was this happening? Why did this occur during the period when I was in that relationship? And until we identify the whys, why did I feel ashamed, rejected, and abandoned? Why did these things happen? Until we identify these why, we won't be able to move on into a positive relationship with our loved one. Remember that to start afresh, we need to get rid of all these things. Remember, change comes from inside. And it will allow you to have fulfillment in your relationship, the potential relationship, or maybe that one that you will realize that, you know what, I just needed to grow. I just needed to learn about myself. I just needed to take some stuff out of my life and start all over again. Or maybe that person is still waiting there for me. And now that I have grown and I have cleansed myself and searched my soul, why not go back and see if there's something that can be remedied from that relationship? A relationship which houses love and honesty and satisfaction is a relationship that is on the right track. I'm not sitting here and saying to you that it is easy to maintain all these things within a relationship, but you have to realize, and your partner with whom you're with need to realize this also, that you are not the only person in the relationship, and they are not the only person. In order for a relationship to move forward, it needs both parties to be involved. As I said, the process to maintaining and sustaining a relationship, a loving relationship, is not easy, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And we need to be able to love and feel loved. Remember that appreciation equals valuability. We need, as I said before, to compliment We need to be able to do nice things in that relationship together. Open the doors. You remember, if you go back to when you started to court, your person used to do, and that's the honeymoon period that people talk about. It's that when you get involved with a relationship or start a relationship, that period is the honeymoon period where that man or the woman, they do everything that needed to be done to get that relationship going. And the moment that they see the relationship is at a place, we all do it. We get comfortable. Don't take your partners for granted. And don't become comfortable. Challenge each other. Spice things up. Make suggestions. Don't wait for him to be always saying or making the suggestions. Sometimes you can do it as well. Suggest that we go out for a meal. Suggest that we have a nice candlelight dinner. We go for a moonlight walk, or we take a stroll, or we do the exercising together where we walk together. It doesn't have to be any strenuous thing, but at least you're making the suggestions. Develop deep connection with your partners. Develop deep connection where you can see that the relationship is flowing and it's going somewhere. Remember that passion is important in a relationship, but it also can kill that relationship if it's not done properly and at the right time. Passion is an intense and a longing feeling to be with somebody that you desire and love. What is important is that love, passion, and intimacy and commitment are the keys to a loving and strong relationship. These three things that I've just mentioned, which is the love, the passion, and the intimacy. There's a psychologist, I think his name is it Steinberg? I think it's Steinberg, He talks about the triangular theory of love, where he mentioned love, passion, and intimacy, and how important it is to have these in a relationship. So if you're thinking that, that person is saying to me that he or she has fallen out of love, it is a possibility that these elements are missing. There is no love, there is no passion, there is no intimacy. And these are things that we need to talk about in a relationship and make time in that relationship for each other. And there is a possibility that if the person has fallen out of love with you, if you go and examine yourself and realize these are the things I need to work on, and you work on them and come back, it's a possibility that love can conquer and that relationship might be in a better place for you both to start all over again, because you have learned your lesson. You have realized that a little bit of growth needed on both sides. So whatever you do, it's important to communicate with each other. And going back from the beginning, falling out of love doesn't mean that the person doesn't care about you. It doesn't mean that the person doesn't love you. It means that at that part in time, that both of you probably need time to examine your inner self. Examine things that you need to put priority over. And I wish you guys all the best. Love, to be loved, is a good feeling. Go on out and take part in conditioning yourself so the relationship can be a better one, and you can find magic in somebody again.